Okay. Welcome everybody. This is Dr. Ken Davis, IFBB Pro, 70 plus, and I'm really excited to have with me tonight for this podcast Lisa Krause. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Lisa K. Posing, and it's going to be a great podcast tonight. And I'll have Lisa talking a little bit, but I just want to, as we get going, I want to let you know how I came to meet Lisa, which is I have chosen, as I've been competing at my age, I chose last year in 2023 to drop down into the men's physique division, which I had never done before. I've been competing in the men's bodybuilding world and doing pretty well. So a good friend of mine who's a pro said, why don't you come and compete in the Daytona Pro Show? And I did, but I said, okay, I'll do. At that point, there was no men's 70 plus bodybuilding. So I decided, okay, I'll do the men's physique class. That looks like a pretty cool thing to do. And at that time, there was only the over 60 group. So I competed and I placed in the top 5. So I decided, I think I'm going to do that for 2024. So as I've been training, I felt that it was necessary for me to fine tune my posing. And I reached out and I happened to Google Lisa and found this incredible person who has been a guiding light over the last, I guess, month, you could say, or more, in helping me.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
To fine tune my posing and feel comfortable enough because I'm have about 3.5 weeks to go until I compete June 1st. So that's how I met Lisa, and it's been, I think she's going to be my friend for life, actually.
Yes, I think so.
As I continue on, she's terrific.
So it was good on Google. Is that what it was?
That's I found you on the internet is what I did,
Okay.
and plus it was close enough for me where I wasn't traveling to Virginia somewhere every week to have posing lessons.
That's not fun. No.
But it's been.
No, that's true. And we were able to pose in person, which is always better than,
Absolutely.
Obviously in person is better.
Yeah. So that's somewhat my story. So I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm anxious also to find more about Lisa as well, other than what I know in our time together. So, Lisa, why don't you take it over and just, tell us a little bit about your background, and also I want to know how you got into, bodybuilding, and especially after that, how you got into posing. But also, what I find so fascinating is that because I know that it's not just men's physique, you do them all, right?
Yeah, I pose men and women, all divisions.
And how how did you come about being so interested in wanting to do that? I guess so. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, let's see if we can unpack some of this. Going back to, I was always athletic. So I think that has something to do with my background, is that, I come from a family that really pushed athletics in the family. And, I was a, gymnast and diving team, things like that. And, and then I broke my arm really bad when I was in high school. I was almost 17. And
how'd you do that?
I was actually on the uneven parallel bars, and I was doing, it's very hard to describe if you don't know gymnastics, but what they call a soul circle dismount, where you actually have your hands on the top bar and your feet spread on the top bar as well, and you're coming out. Well, I blew up, and I knew that I was coming down on my back. So I put my left arm down to stop, and ulnar radius just tore right out. Wow. So it was a bad compound fracture break. So that kind of put the halt on the gymnastics. But I was, after I had some surgeries and I went through all of that, wow. I was like, well, I'm not going to go back to gymnastics. So, I just kind of put my mind to studying, and I actually kind of turned to art a lot. And I really enjoyed painting and drawing. And the rest of my high school time, I was still active, but when I went to college, then I actually started majoring in art. Kind of crazy the way things go, but I also was I started back at dance, and I was really almost could have declared a major in dance, but it was a minor, and did some of the recitals, and I really enjoyed just the movement again, and feeling athletic and feeling good
Right, right, right.
about working out. And but a lot of my drawing classes, and actually some of my art classes too, involved drawing nude models. And I really think that that gave me a background for the human anatomy and lines. And then in my senior year, I decided to go to France to study. So I went over there, and of course the art classes were very intense. The art,
Yeah,
the south of France has the greatest, art. Vincent van Gogh came from Arles, and you have
yeah,
Paul
yeah,
Cézanne and Mount Saint Victoire that
yeah,
you could see
yeah.
from my bedroom window, that mountain. And I just loved the French art. So I was like, again, I was kind of ensconced in this drawing, and male, female, nude models, and you just don't think twice about that. You're
Right,
looking
right,
for
right.
the lines, you're looking for the angles, you're looking how to put that down. But along with that, I was like, I was a good student, not just for art, but I ended up seeing this offer to teach part-time, and you would be paid in dollars. So this is going back to the 80s. And I was like, okay, so if I go and I teach these nuclear scientists
So
at
you mean
Cadarache.
over there in Europe, you mean?
Yes. So it
Wow.
was in France, and it was called Cadarache Nuclear Power Plant. And I would go, they would take my passport when I came in. I would go into this like big kind of schoolhouse type thing on their nuclear plant. And I would teach these guys to speak English because they needed it for their jobs. So I started to really enjoy teaching. And I was like, this isn't bad, and I was paid in dollars. And so then when I was finished with my year there, they offered me more time, and I stayed on for like the summer, and I ended up teaching and traveling. I was all over Europe. And so that was kind of, I came back to the States,
And you were how
and
old?
then,
How old when you were doing this now?
well, I was only 21 years old at that time. I was
So
just
also,
a
I just
young
wanted to
girl.
ask you before you move. So after you recovered from your broken arm, you never got back into gymnastics, or you did
I did not. I ended up veering into dance.
into dance?
Yeah. Dance, kickboxing, a little bit of gymnastics. Like I still literally, I mean, I threw out I can throw out a cartwheel, a handspring. I can even throw out an aerial if I really, really concentrate. I can still do some of those things. But it's like, am I pushing it to try to do that?
Right,
But
right, right.
yeah, I kind of nursed my way out of the broken arm after what took a long time to heal. Had some surgeries. It did a lot. You do a lot of thinking when something like that happens, a bad
Right.
accident like that. And so, yeah, so I think then I came back, and I just ended up taking more education classes and got my teaching cert that I was close to getting anyway. I had a lot of extra classes, but I did my student teaching in my hometown here in Pennsylvania. And then, yeah, I was a teacher for, oh, I would say 16 years, teaching the hormonal grades of seventh and eighth grade reading and English. So that was kind of, and I got my master's degree, got my uh, certificate as a principal, K through 12. And then I
So
also
you
got
were a
another master.
principal of the school too?
I was assistant
That's,
principal at
that's right.
yeah, so after I was teaching for about 16 years, I decided to do assistant principal. I went back, got my another master's in curriculum, got my admin cert in print as a principal,
Wow.
and then I went to Schuylkill Valley and was an assistant principal there, and then I ended up in Allentown as an assistant principal for the last 10 years. I was there. I just retired in June.
Yeah.
And along the way, I started with the bodybuilding, like what quite long time ago. I would say Started bodybuilding about 13 years
How did that,
ago.
how did you, what was the motivation?
Yeah, so I was just going to my local gym working out, and it was a friend of mine, he was just a friend that I used to actually take his boxing class. And he said, "You really should try doing a bodybuilding competition bikini." He said, "You'd be good in that and you build muscle quickly." I was like, I am never doing one of those shows. Never.
Not the
Famous
first
last
person I've
words,
heard
right?
that from. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up being convinced, and I had no idea what I was doing. I went, a trainer friend of mine kind of trained me a little bit, and I ended up going out to Pittsburgh at one of the biggest shows, Pittsburgh Championship. Had no idea I missed a class. I think I
Right,
came in
right,
last.
right.
I think I came in last.
What year, that
Oh,
was,
I think that was 2013.
wow.
That was my first show.
How
Yeah.
long did you, that was the first, how long did you train before you, I'm sure that everybody would want to know. A year,
Oh,
less than a year? Before,
yeah, it was less than a year, but I mean, once I committed to training for this, like I was gung ho, that was it. I was going to go all the way and I did. I went all the way in, and I thought I looked good. But, again, the posing really was like, oh my goodness, because at that time I didn't really know how to pose. I would just watch. It was interesting because some of the pros who are very, very big right now. The one is Ashley Kaltwasser, who was actually in that show that year in the pro side of it. I believe her room was like right next to mine, and we were all in the hall just kind of practicing. And I actually would mimic the pros and kind of see what they were doing, and then I would just kind of
you were
go
trying to
and do
do
what
it?
they were doing.
Or-
Yeah, it was ridiculous. That's how it came about. But yeah, I came off of that first show feeling like really kind of confused, and not it wasn't a great experience for me. I felt overwhelmed. They brought us in like three heats of women. There were so many people in my classes. And I just was like, "Ah, I don't know. I don't think this was for me." And, you
You,
know. So it was one of those deals. And then what ended up happening was I was an assistant principal at the time. And I think it was sort of taboo that you just kind of didn't really
don't do
go
those
up on.
kind of things?
Yeah. So it was about a week or two later. And at that time, the pictures, they were kind of hard to find. You had to kind of go online and
Right,
really
right.
look. Got a call from my principal at the time who told me that I looked like a hooker and that I should get those pictures taken down because the images that I was portraying were not in line with a blue ribbon school as such. And so I either had to go under an assumed name or quit. So after a good cry, I was like, this doesn't seem right, and I thought, if I was like 250 pounds, would this also be an issue? If I was heavy, like, what is the issue? I said, I'm trying to promote working out, good
Health,
health.
fitness, well-being, health.
The fact that I'm in a bikini, maybe it's the issue, right? So I did, in full transparency, I did contact. We are allowed so much money as administrators for some legal advice. So I took it, and I did contact Harrisburg, and I asked the attorney there, and he said, well, you probably would win if you pushed this, sexual harassment, hostile workplace, whatever, those things. But, my advice is just get the hell out, get another job, find another position somewhere. And that's when I started to look and started to feel like maybe that smaller district and that smaller school where I was the only assistant principal
Right.
there maybe wasn't a good fit for what I was doing. I did go under an assumed name for several shows, I'll be honest. I felt dirty when I did that. I felt like I was hiding something. I felt like it wasn't, I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was I wasn't being true to myself. So I ended up finding the position in Allentown and kept it from them for a very long time that I was a bodybuilder and I had a female boss. And one day she said, "Why are you always eating chicken and asparagus?"
So Lisa, let me understand something. So you stayed in the school where they hassled you, but you went
I
on.
stayed there only until I got another job. So I want to say it was probably about 6 months.
Okay, there was no other show or competition that you did during that particular period of time, correct?
I did a couple other shows, but I went under a fake
And
name.
another name. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave a fake name. I did two, I think, and I didn't tell them, and I didn't use my name,
Wow,
and
quite a
they
story.
didn't find out. Yeah.
That's an
And
interesting story.
so that was what I did. But I was, maybe it was longer than six. I might have been there for about 8 months yet, and I think I did two shows. But that was, yeah, that was very, it was not a very pleasant experience because I felt very much like yeah, like I wasn't being true to myself. Then when I was in Allentown, I did feel better. It was a much bigger district. We had bigger fish to fry. We had lots of issues with kids, and I wasn't the only assistant principal. There were four others, and I had a female boss, and I ended up being very honest with her then and told her that I was a bodybuilder and I wanted to do this show. And she's like, "Hey, can I come and watch?" It was just a
What a
completely
change
different,
of
yeah.
wow. So
Yeah,
then
so that is kind of where I was with that in my career. I would say that, I tried to kind of leave it out of my career as much as I could, and not, not have people kind of, I never did a show when I was an amateur right in my area. I usually went to another state because I always went over to Jersey or Pittsburgh even, but I just try not to do that. So I mean, now I sponsor as Lisa K Posing and Fitness. I sponsor all the local shows in this area, and I promote my own athletes to go to these local shows. And, it's great that we have these here. I'm getting like 15 athletes ready for May 25th, for the Lehigh Valley Championships. So, and ironically, it's being held at my old high school where yeah.
maybe the
So,
same people will show up there to watch. Wouldn't that be something?
well, as long as the people from the other school don't come, but I don't want to see them anymore. That was just
So
the best.
you were, because I think I told you that I had competed at the Iron Sharpen Iron show in Allentown. I think,
Yeah.
and I won that class, 60 plus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was that recently, or when
That
was that?
was in, what's it, 24 now? I think 2021. 2021.
Okay. Yeah. That's the show. Those are the shows I promote.
Yeah,
Oh,
I really loved that show. They were really nice people. Plus, I have to say that the audience there was fantastic. You
yeah.
know,
They're good shows.
they were
But
really
yeah,
so enthusiastic, and so many people came up to me, when they found out how old I was. But it was great.
it's nice to be supported like that.
They were
So,
that
yeah,
was
I think
enthusiastic.
it's a positive crowd. It seems like it's a very
Very,
positive crowd.
very positive. And one
Mm.
guy said, "Oh, I remember, I'll never forget." He said, "Oh, would you please stay? My son is competing, and he'd love to meet you." And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to meet him." So
Yeah.
they were very supportive. So, um, again, I forget. So as you continue, so up until the point, how many competitions did you do up until winning your pro card?
Oh, I did a lot. I did a lot. I want to say it took me about 3 years. I was bikini for quite a long time, and then I started to really pack on some muscle, And I remember I started to hit the national stage for bikini after about 3 years. I think it was two and a half, 3 years, and so I was doing national shows and getting moved out of the middle, third, second, fourth, whatever, top five, but always getting moved out. I was getting frustrated. And I remember I didn't often cry. I didn't cry usually when I came out, even though I really wanted my pro card at that point. But I came off of Universe in Jersey, in Teaneck, New Jersey, this one year, and it was Steve Weinberger. I went over and I said, I don't know, Steve, I just don't know what to do. And he said, you're out muscling class, Lisa. I think you should bump up to figure. And I was like, figure? Are you kidding me? I just spent 3 years in bikini and now I'm going to go do figure. But I did. I talked to my coach at that time and we decided that we would try, let's see, Universe is in July. And then November was another show in Teaneck. Another show in Teaneck. And so I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I swept it. So I was like, oh, she said, you're not going back to bikini. And even in that show, I wouldn't let go of bikini. I changed
to go
my
back to bikini and do it?
So yeah, but now it's like, so, and then once I did figure, then I also did physique, I did bodybuilding, all of those on the national stage, and got my pro card in figure at North Americans. But I did every division. The only division I had not done on the national stage was wellness because they didn't have it when I was competing as an amateur. So this past season,
I forget, I get this mixed up. Is the wellness the aerials and the acrobatic component?
that's fitness.
Oh, that's right. That's fitness. Okay.
Yeah, and then after that is
You do fitness too?
No, I did not. I did not do that. But I would say that all my jumping around as a gymnast.
Oh, I was going to say, I would think that you're
No, I didn't do that. I didn't do fitness. I would have if I could have, I swear. But I did bodybuilding, and I'm still waiting to get a fitness girl. I want one so badly because I know that it's a division where there's not a whole lot of competitors in that division, and you get someone who really can do a little bit of gymnastics and throw some aerials and really meet the criteria for that division. It's great. Then it comes bodybuilding, then physique, then it was figure and bikini, and then wellness came in, which is kind of supposed to be like a combination of figure and bikini sort of. So it's actually has an asymmetrical look to it. I have not done that. So this past season, I did it in, I believe it was Daytona. I can't even remember if it was that show or not, but I think it was. I jumped into a pro wellness. It was, I think, 35 and up, and I did get a fifth, but it was an interesting, it was so much fun. I had a ball doing it because I teach so many women posing for wellness, and I just felt like I had to get out there and do it. And it was really fun. It was a really fun experience. Yeah, so I've done it. And then as far as the guys go, once you've done bodybuilding and bodybuilding, you can also help them. I've spent time over at, I was part of like the Bombshell years and years ago, the Bombshell Fitness group, but we used to go to over to Bev's gym for like 5 days at a time for like our camp. And I spent a lot of time over there watching the guy pros and watching them pose,
You mean that's out in Syosset, New York, you mean?
Yeah, listening to them. I had a bunch, several close guy friends. Also, one in particular is a physique pro. Really understanding how the body moves, and I think honestly, it's kind of like eclectic past of having been an art major originally, and all the drawings of the anatomy and the lines, and also my, just my athletic background and having an eye for it, and also just knowing how the body moves.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. Did you? I'm sure you got to the point where you said, "I got this. I know how to do this," or help people.
Yeah, I found myself, it wasn't like I'm going to be a posing coach. It was sort of very gradual. I found myself always kind of helping people with their posing, and I'd look at them and think, God, that's not right. If he stood this way, and then I actually would be, backstage kind of fixing people, and even my own pro friends now, while we're in line, they'll say to me, what do you think? What do you think? And I'll help anyone. I will literally help the ladies on the side of the stage that I am going up onto the stage to compete against. That is what I do. Like if someone asks me, I will help them, because you're competing against you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
absolutely.
your best you. And so if we put that aside, that, I'm going to beat this one, and I mean, I am good friends with the people that, with the ladies that I competed against as amateurs, and now some of them
Yeah,
that I compete against as pros. We're buds,
it's
we
great.
text all the time. We share, the fact that some of us are grandparents now, and, just a lot of different things that I have, developed great relationships with some of these people over the years. I think once you, don't get me wrong, I'm still very competitive and I want to win. But by the same token, I know that I've just got to bring my best to the stage, and that's what
I have
matters.
to tell you a funny thing, so you would appreciate this. So today, uh, I went to have, I think I told you that I'm going to be featured on the cover of Top Doctor magazine.
Yeah.
So I had to have pictures taken. So I have a patient of mine. She's phenomenal. She's a world-class uh, uh, photographer named Kelly Walsh. And so I meet with Kelly. But what was happening is that she would have me to the camera. You would appreciate that. She'd say, okay, angle your body this way, but turn your upper body this way. And then
Exactly.
move
Like the
your,
bread wrapper,
and
right?
I'm saying, that's what Lisa tells me to do.
Ah,
And move your body in this direction, but turn it this way and put your head over in that way. And it was like, it was opposing. I was an opposing,
yeah,
but it
exactly.
was great because I knew, oh, okay, I can do that. I had to,
You know what
you
you
know,
meant.
and there were several poses she had me do where the ones that we were just working on, where my hands were on my side above my, you know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
it was like, oh, I think I'm getting this.
See, all that posing has helped you.
It was, I had to laugh to myself. I said, oh, I know what I'm doing here now.
At a
So
posing
it
session,
was pretty
Ken.
awesome. Um,
Yeah, so then I started to actually have ladies. I started with ladies coming to my house, and I put up like mirrors in the rec room, and I have like a little studio, and then I would have people come, and then I decided when Powerhouse Gym came and opened up shortly after that, I went over there and I just talked to, a couple friends there and talked to the owner. And I said, how would you feel if I could do a little posing here? And he was sure. So I started to pose at the gym, and shortly became the resident
yeah,
posing
keep
coach
busy
there,
too.
and just became extremely busy. Yeah, I'm booking now towards mid end of June for weekends. They're just all booked, and then we're booking pretty heavily now for weekdays too. And I do, men and women. I love posing both. I really do. There's good things about posing both. I love the poses, so when I'm posing with, classic physique or bodybuilders, it's just, I feel like I'm in heaven, and there's so many little tricks that I have learned over the years that I am so happy to give those tricks out, a little bit. And I'll always say this is a Lisa K thing. Shh. Because there's little things that I know will make them shine a little bit brighter on that stage. But yeah, I have a lot of physique, men's physique, probably more men this year, I would say, than the past couple of years, have come to me. And I don't know if that's just because they feel like now a little bit, now that I'm much more established, that maybe a woman can pose a man, and yeah, I've only had a couple incidents where the gentleman, said, his wife or girlfriend wasn't comfortable with it, and I respect that, and that's, if that's, but honestly, Ken, when I'm posing, it's like I'm back in anatomy class. I see the
And you see
lines.
one, and you do that with me. So also the
Yeah.
thing I love about you so much is, apart from your skill set and what you're able to do, is that you're extremely patient. You're very
And
patient,
thank you.
and because other sports and other things, sometimes that trainer was like, I
Yeah.
had I won't mention any names, but I had a trainer that would like if I got my pose, they start swearing at me. How could you do it?
No, no, I don't do that.
Doing my best, so but it's okay. But
No, and I
no,
think
you're
that's the
extremely
teacher.
patient.
That's the teacher in me. And I think that's years and years of education. And I think that's why these two worlds kind of complement each other, because the teaching, one of the reasons I went into administration was because I was a pretty good damn teacher and got a lot of commendations. And I was like asked to do, in services and things like that. And I was like, damn, if I'm going to do all this extra stuff, I may as well go back to school, get my another master's, get my principal cert. And so I did. And so I think that that's sort of when I get a client, opposing client, it's just like teaching. You have to meet that client where they are. So, if you're getting, you're getting someone in there who's quite advanced, and I do pose some pros and I pose amateurs. I mean, I'll pose someone who has never, ever stepped on a stage, has no idea even what class they belong in. And we start from scratch. So, I always say you cannot learn algebra if you don't know how to add and subtract. You can't learn to read if you don't know the alphabet.
Right.
So so we will start at the alphabet, with that person. But if you're getting someone in there who actually has some skill sets on it, or they've had a background where they've been athletic in the past, they know how their body can move, and that kind of, that now we're meeting them at a little bit of a different level. So after, like, I posed I think 6 people on Saturday, and that's kind of my max for pattern. I mean, it's an hour
With an
session.
hour each time, it's a lot.
Yeah, and I think what happens then, you're teaching for 6 hours straight, and it's not only the teaching, but it's the focusing
Focus.
on the right, focusing on their bodies and focusing on their feet, and posings from the ground up, and you always want to have those feet in the correct spot. So yeah, it's there's a lot to it, and I video and pictures and send
I know
everything.
that's what I get. Also,
Yeah.
you are a personal trainer too, correct or no?
No, I'm not. I do train at my gym. I train my clients. I don't
If someone,
train
let's say,
different.
says, I want to compete in a show, is that something that you do? Do you
I
take them?
coach. Yeah, I coach. So I have Lisa K. Well, what happened was I was posing for several years, and then I would get clients, and they'd say, "Well, I don't really have a coach, or my coach. I want to learn how to pose, but I don't. They don't even have a coach, or they left their coach, or they don't know, or their coach is in, you know." the UK or something,
Right.
would you coach me? And I'm like, well, several few years ago, I didn't. And I would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I maybe gave him a friend or whatever. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I can coach. I know what I'm doing. So I have a great coach myself. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started to coach a few people here and there, mostly women. And then I got some guys. And then I just, it's build. And now I do online coaching. I have my own app.
Right, I saw
And
your app. It's
Mhm.
phenomenal.
So they get their training plan, they get a meal plan for their training days, they get a meal plan for their off days, they get a full supplement schedule of all kinds of supplements to take, and the codes to get discounts with those. And then, they get their check-ins every week. I do front, back, side, and feet on scale. And so, we see I am able to make tweaks, and right now, like I said, I have like about 15 that I'm getting ready for the Lehigh Valley show. I have several coming in June that'll be ready for that. I have several
Where
that
is
are
that show,
doing.
Lisa? That's at the in Allentown there?
Yeah, that's the one of the Iron Sharpened shows that's the first one of this
One of
season.
the
That'll be,
Scottish.
well, yeah, it used to be at the Scottish Rite, but it's now at Deerhoof High School.
Oh, and what
It
is
got
that?
moved. It got moved because I believe they didn't want any more bodybuilding there. So I think it got moved for that reason. So
Yeah, but
yeah, so I
this is
mean,
not a pro show. It's an amateur show, correct?
it's an amateur show. I have a lot of first timers going to be doing this show in May. They're very excited.
Exciting.
I'm
They
excited
must
for
be.
them.
I mean, I remember
Yes,
when I show. It's very
it's going to be a
exciting.
big day. It's going to be a big day for
It
them.
is a big day.
But
It's a big
yeah, so I do posing and coaching. Now, when a person signs up for coaching with me, I tell them they do get some coaching with me. I do charge for one-on-ones. But anytime that they would come to my house or I pose them at Powerhouse,
right,
they are charged. But I do include in my actual coaching, I do include posing check-ins so that we go through like
right.
once every couple weeks. Just let me see what you got here, 10-15 minutes, move this, do that, whatever, send them on their way. Just keeping an eye on them, especially right now with the shows being so close. I'm doing posing check-ins almost every day now, even if it's just a few minutes, just to make sure that there. So I feel like that's an add-on that I actually give my clients is my eye. So
I can attest to that. So, all right, I'm going to throw this as we get closer to, what is it when people say, I really, see if I can formulate the question I want to ask you. Person says, I want to train, but I would like to compete in this show. If you were to say, what's the major question or component that you tell that individual? I want to train, work out, but I'd like to compete. What's your...
yeah, it depends. It depends on when, because and I know that a prep is 16 to 20 weeks. So although people say they want to compete in a show, there's always the need for time to get that person ready. And I think that's a very key factor is and I do get just that. I want to work out, I want to train, but I also want to do a show. So I assess like where they are with their physique. And, I have like a questionnaire that a new client will complete, and it will ask them about their supplements and their eating schedule, their sleep, things like that. I like to know what's going on with them, and if they have any issues medically and such, but allergies, things like that. And
Are you
once
able to, is there, I'm sure there is, I don't mean to interrupt you.
oh, that's okay.
Uh, because the mindset component and the commitment is so important, are you able to, I would think you are, to really assess, even though they say that, to know that this person is really serious or is kind of like,
that's a good question,
you know
Ken.
what I mean, or maybe it's
Yeah.
really, they're kind of dreaming a little bit, but they'd like to do it maybe, you know what I mean?
I totally get that. And I think that does happen sometimes. One of the things that I have on their check-in form is a form that asks them, did you do your cardio this week? Did you complete all your cardio? Did you complete all your training? Were you, honest to eating all of your meals and didn't cheat? And so you would hope that your clients are going to be honest because you're their coach. And those, so it's kind of like a check and balances to see. I know when someone's falling off, usually, I'll see maybe they've got 1 out of 3 of those. And then we kind of have to evaluate where we're at. I have had to move clients from a show that they have wanted to do to a later show because of the struggle with that mentally. And, some people just have trouble sticking to the diet. Let's face it, the diet is the hard part. The gym is really the easy
Yeah,
part.
that's what I was, because the first question when people find out that I do, that's the first question. It's not about the training, it's about what I'm eating. The
Exactly.
diet like,
Exactly.
is it,
Yeah,
well,
that's it. Because you're really giving up. I mean, if you like to have alcohol and you like to, go out and do those things, that's got to kind of come to a halt.
yeah,
I mean, not to say that you can't be social because you can, but you are really kind of restricted to not being able to eat, go out to dinner and just order whatever you want. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, unless you get a sheet, which is usually something that is going to be given to you by your coach and has, certain amount of grams and a certain amount of protein and such. But yeah, it is not, if it was easy, everyone would probably do it, but
Exactly.
it's
Also,
not.
I would imagine too in your assessment that also the support factor of the family or the significant other. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a big part of the puzzle
that's
also.
huge. That
To
is
support
so
the individual.
huge.
You know.
And I do see that with my own clients, right? Currently I see some of them are having a little bit of trouble with, sometimes family isn't really as supportive as it could be, or they don't have a lot of family and they're trying to do this on their own. And then I see, some of them that have, boyfriends or husbands, or guys have a girlfriend or a wife that's just very supportive, helps them with their food prep, going to be at their show, and another issue is, or a factor, I should say, which we didn't even bring up yet, is the cost. It's a lot of families find that the cost, when you figure that, you're paying for your coach, you're paying for your posing, you're paying for your suit, your tan, your hair, in that case for the women, but
And
men
your
are tan,
classes. And your classes.
and all your classes. Yeah. So when you
That's quite a
consider
commitment.
that, that's a
Quite a
commitment.
commitment for that 5 minutes of fame.
Why do we do it, right?
Because
Why do
we
we
love
do it?
it. We
Yeah,
do it
I
because we
know.
love it, and it makes us feel good too. And
Like
it,
I said in the beginning, the camaraderie that I have built up with some of the people in this industry. And when you've been in this industry as long as I have, going on 12 years, I feel like I know everyone. I originally was going to judge, and so
we're telling
um, I went and studied. I studied my ass off. I was like, I knew every division. That's another thing that really helped me though with the posing, is because when I was studying to be a judge, I really was like, okay, I'm in education. I'm getting 100 on this test, right? Like there's no way I'm not gonna get 100. So I studied and studied, and I knew every division of every characteristic that they would look for. That so I think when I started to actually pose, then I was like putting that together, and I would be like, oh, okay, so this is the figure class or whatever, where this is what they're looking for, and wide back, taper, push the legs out, make your hamstrings pop, different things like that. Same thing with the guys division. I always, I memorized everything that I had to know about that. And then COVID hit right when I was about to judge the June show at the Lehigh Valley. The double header was PA Championships and Ultimate Physique. And then I couldn't judge because of that. And then, but consequently, after that is when I started posing and started coaching. So you can't judge as a coach because it's a conflict of interest. So I was like, well, I guess things happen for a reason. It really
absolutely.
did
Doesn't mean
help me.
someday you may. Someday you may. But you're still active. I think you should tell. I mean, Lisa is still active competing, correct?
I am, yes, I am. Every year I say I'm done.
You told me.
Last year I did actually 4 shows. I did Pittsburgh. I think I got third or fourth there. And then I'm trying to think what I did do. San Antonio and
Daytona.
Daytona. And Daytona is the one I think where I jumped in the wellness. And then I did Hurricane, and jumped into bikini there. I did bikini. It was Bill Silva, who was the head judge, came over to me afterwards and he goes, "Stay out of bikini." I was like, I just had to do it one more time, Bill. I just had to do it one
How
more
did you do
time.
it with that one?
I got, what did I get?
Do
I got
okay?
fifth. I don't know if I think I got fifth. I don't know. I didn't do well. I got fifth, I think. Yeah, fifth. But it was not, it was just really, at this point in my life, if I want to do something like that, it's just like we got just have fun, like you're doing. You're switching classes, switching divisions, doing something that is challenging. But I know that going back this year, though, I'm going to stick to figure. I'm not going to do. I mean, I'm done doing physique on the pro stage too. Those ladies are so big and muscular now that I'd really have to pack on a lot more muscle, which I did at one time. I ended up with a first in physique 2 years ago, and then I had not gotten my first place in figure, and that just it bugged me. I really wanted it, so I did get it this past year. I did. I got my first place in figure. So now I talked to my coach, and my coach is Johnny DeCastellina. He is also my mentor. He has a mentorship, and when I decided I wanted to coach, he had some places left in his program for mentoring, and so I do mentor under him, and he is quite an amazing coach. I have learned a great deal from him, and it really helps as far as reading the blood work of my clients and things like that. I've learned a lot about that, and feel very comfortable being able to do that, get into more of that aspect of things, hormones, blood work, things that vary, the enzymes, all of that. So, yeah.
You're multidimensional.
Yeah, there's more to me than just giving out a meal plan, right? Anybody can do that. I want to be I want to be a very good coach, and I'm being an educator all my life. I'm constantly researching, constantly learning, and I want to all of that knowledge so that I can be, make my clients even, winners. So, and I have a lot of lifestyle clients, don't get me wrong, and they're wonderful, and they don't compete, and they just want to live their best lives. And yeah, they want to be healthy, they want to look good in a bathing suit or shorts, and they want to, be on a schedule of some sort and have some accountability. And honestly, I love my lifestyle clients too.
You're awesome. So let me do this. So tell everyone how to get a hold of you, and
Oh, okay. Well, I am on Instagram, LKRAU Fit, IFBB Pro. And then I have a website, which is www.lisakposing.com. And that is, you can sign up for
also
coaching.
you have to tell them that they can follow you on Instagram.
Yep, you can follow me on Instagram, LKRAU Fit, IFBB Pro, or you can go on my website, like I said, www.lisakposing.com, and you can shoot me a message. And actually, you can even email me at lisakposing@gmail.com.
And I do want to say for Lisa, she is very responsive and gets back to you very quickly.
Well,
So,
I try.
oh,
That
you
is,
do.
that is
You do.
important. I
You
do believe
absolutely
that
do.
is very important.
So, Lise, this has been awesome. Really, a tremendous amount of information, and we're going to get it out there and let people more and more people find out who you are and what you do. And
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm looking forward to reading your book.
And thank you. And you've been a lifesaver for me. I love you to pieces. I mean,
Love you too. I'll see you.
wait to see you again, which I will shortly.
Yeah.
And I still want you to come to Daytona, but
Oh, I am going to be at Daytona. Oh, you mean for your first show?
oh, I mean for Miami. But
Oh, Miami. Yeah,
Daytona,
I would love to.
but I'm going to be in Daytona too. So,
Yeah.
so listen, I'll let you go, and it's been great, and you're the best.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, it's fascinating information. I found out things I didn't know about you, so it's great.
Oh, well, that's good.
All
All right,
so,
Ken.
God bless, and thanks, Lisa, and I'll see you soon. Okay.
Yes, we'll see you soon. Thank you, Ken. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.